Hi everyone, my name is Rhiannon from Blue Dog Board Games, and today I'm going to do another solo playthrough, and this time we're going to play a beautiful spatial card game called Keystone North America. This is the retail edition. You can also get the deluxe edition, but this is just the bog standard retail edition. I believe the differences between this one and the deluxe are some player boards. The player boards have individual artwork. In the deluxe edition, I believe there's maybe a neoprene mat or a very beautiful sort of display for your cards. I'm not sure if there's any other differences. I think most of the other components are the same. I've just got the stripped back version just because that's what I was able to get hold of at the time, and we're going to be doing one of the solo scenarios from the journal. So the solo game is actually played going through this little workbook, this journal. So I believe you've got 20 scenarios altogether to work through. We're going to actually be doing scenario number 2 today, just because the first one is very basic and it's just literally try and get as high a score as possible with no extra rules and nothing else going on. So I just wanted to give you a bit more of a flavour of how most of the scenarios work, because they have slightly different setups, slightly different rules. There may be different objectives you need to actually meet before you can officially say you've won the scenario, and the first one doesn't really give you that taster. So I thought I'd do the second one just because I didn't want to go through the end ones, because there's not really a story to follow, so there's not spoilers as such, but some people might not appreciate that bit. So we're just going to actually start on scenario 2. It's assignment number 2. That the sort of setup is that you are a newly qualified ecologist, biologist, and you are sort of going out into the world of work, and your new experience is training on the job, and sort of you're documenting all of your discoveries and findings and things that you're doing. So I will just read through this scenario, and then it will tell us the setup and the special rules and any assignments that we need to do. So we're doing assignment number 2, Keystone Education. So I got a call from Professor Howell today letting me know my next assignment. He said he arranged for me to give a demonstration about keystone species at my old middle school. I rolled my eyes at how adventuresome the job has been so far. I know you're rolling your eyes right now, but education is one of the most important things we do, he scolded. In fact, I remember giving a keystone demonstration to a certain somebody in that school who went on to become one of my best students. He had me there, so I started working on my demonstration I would give. The cool thing about keystone species is that they have a disproportionately large effect on their natural environment. This means if that species is removed, it creates a chain reaction that can cause the entire ecosystem to suffer. To represent this, I went and collected some stones that the students could use to build an archway. The middle stone, known as the keystone, would hold the archway together and keep it from falling. They then could remove the keystone and see how it causes a chain reaction that collapses all the other stones. After prepping, I headed out to the school, surprised at how nervous I was to speak in front of the students. Overall, the day was amazing. The kids loved building the archways and knocking them down. We talked about our favourite keystone animals and what we can do to help protect them. One of the students even said they hoped to become a field biologist just like me someday. I'll make a note to follow up with the teacher about some cool science summer camps interested students can join. And then one of the kids drew a picture of the keystone animal for me. You've got a diagram over here. So we've got some setup bits now over here. So it says shuffle the species cards and draw 6 for the field. I've already done that, so this is our deck, and these are our species cards that we're going to start off with. We've got skills 1, 3 and 9. These are here, and we've got quite a few of them in the box that, and they change up according to your scenario. All wild cards are available in this game, so these are these ones down here. Use secret objective card number 4, Conservation Education. This is this card here, and we take 5 tokens. So this is our currency in the game. One thing I will say, this is I think potentially my only negative about this game. These are double-sided, so if you didn't realise, like I didn't in my first game, you will be fiddling around with all your currency, and then you will look at it and be like, I don't know how much money I've got anymore, because I don't know whether that's meant to be a 3 or a 1. So I don't know why. That is a design flaw. Don't do that. Don't do that. So we have got one special rule for this game. So we've got delicate balance. When you add a keystone to your player board, you must discard one other keystone from the field if able. So we don't actually have any here at the moment, but some of these cards that come out of the deck have specific symbols on. So you may have a keystone icon, which we do not have. You may have an endangered species icon, which is like an exclamation mark, or you may have a tag on some species. And this is basically saying whenever we play a keystone on our player board, we must discard one other keystone icon from the field if we're able to. And our assignments, in order to actually win this particular scenario, have to end the game with 70 or more victory points, complete at least one secret objective goal, so one of these 4. So these are mostly like orientation type things. So we've got 3 frost winter symbols in like an L shape somewhere on our board, 2 endangered icons next to each other, 4, I think it's spring. I don't know sometimes what these mean. 4 spring icons somewhere on the board and 3 tags in a row. So if we get all 4 of them, we get 24 points at the end of the game. If we only get 1, we get 5, and then we get some points in between. But we need to complete at least 1. And we also need to end the game with 6 or more keystone icons on our player board. So as long as we do all of those, we will win, and we could then progress on to scenario number 3 and work through our book that way. So that's us all set up. So this game is very, very simple to play. On your turn, you only have 1 or 2 options. The first option is that you can take a card from the field and play it somewhere on your player board, and you're not restricted by like adjacency or anything like that. You can play it anywhere you want. The second thing that you can do is activate a skill, and these are all double-sided. So you've got your white side and you've got your yellow side. You can select any white-sided skill to activate, and I'll talk you through what they do when we get there. Or you can activate all of the yellow skills, and you don't have a choice about which ones you do. You have to do all of them at once. And when you activate the yellows, your timer ticks down. In a 1-player game, we start our timer on 4, so we can activate all of the skills like 4 times essentially, and the end of the game is triggered when this hits this space at the end, or the end of the game is triggered when we fill up our player board. So it's a bit of an ebb and flow. You want to sort of get the benefit of those, but usually you want to try and fill up your player board as much as possible. So I'm going to just have a look to see what animals up here I might be interested in. There's not much point in activating any skills at the moment. I could activate this one, because this one means that I can draw 3 cards from this deck and play one of them for like free on my player board. And then I have to discard 2 from the display, the field. So that's the only one beneficial. The other ones interact with cards on your board. So let's have a look at my secret objectives again. I've got 3 tags in a row. The only tag is up here. Got winter icons, so I could look at you perhaps. And spring icons and endangered species. So there's not actually too much that's looking that interesting out and about right now. So I think maybe I will start off with this. And when you are activating a skill, you don't necessarily have to do everything on it. So for example, this one is move 2 cards on your player board somewhere. If you only wanted to move 1, you can do that. The only essential action is the discarding of cards from the field. So I think I'm going to do this one. So this means I take 3 and I'm able to play 1 onto my player board if I want to. And then in a minute I'm going to discard 2. So what have I got? I've got an endangered species. That could be nice. He's got a summer icon though, and that's not really going to help us. None of them are keystone species. I also have a tag. That could be very nice. Maybe I'll start with the tags. And a winter icon, but that's about it. Okay, I am actually going to take that frog. I'm going to play this frog. I'm going to start in my top left corner, and he's going to the discard pile. I then have to discard 2 cards from this display, and then I flip that so the yellow side is now visible. So I'm going to go ahead and get rid of you and you. And when you discard, everything shuffles down and you draw new cards from the deck. The reason being is that you'll see in the game, if you take the cards closer to the actual draw pile, you have to pay a currency to every card after it. So it gets more expensive the further you are towards the draw pile, and these ones are essentially free. Where's our Keystone species? We're gonna have to ignore them just for a minute. That's fine. What do we want now? I'm not really sure we want another 1. We don't want a 5 either, I don't think. What you're trying to do in this game is create like a sequential order. At the end of the game, you are scoring ecosystems in each column and each row, and you create an ecosystem by a sequential numerical order. So we've got numbers 1 to 5 in this game. But also in the sequential order, they have to have a common ecosystem. What do you call it? Terrain? Habitat. We've got 4 different habitats down these sides. So at the moment I've got like a wetlands habitat for the frog. So if I put this number 2 next to it, even though it's sequential order, I won't be able to score them because he's a wetland habitat, but this armadillo is like grassland and forest. So unless he has a common habitat, we won't score them. So there's a couple of different things you need to be sort of mindful of as you're playing this game. You know what, I really don't want any of these. Alright, what we're going to do then is actually take this one. I really don't want anything on the board right now, so I'm just thinking hopefully I can get some cards moving through discarding. And this one here allows you to put research tokens on an endangered species, and he's an endangered species. So when you activate a skill, I don't really want to waste it, so I can just activate it, ignore the top part and do the discarding. But these research tokens are going to be worth points at the end of the game. So I didn't really want to just ignore it. So if I try and aim to do like a 2, 3, 4 here, so that means I could do 4, 5, and maybe a 1 here. So I'm going to place him here. When you're placing, you're actually checking for all the columns and the rows to see if there's any common habitats. For every common habitat that it shares with something in its row or column, you get 1 acorn, like the currency back. Because I haven't placed anything in a similar row or column, that doesn't matter right now. This isn't going well, so I'm going to actually activate this now, which means I can place 2 research tokens. Again, these are double-sided. These purple ones are used for certain scenarios in the booklet. There may be places you put them on the board and you have to interact with them in some way. But these green ones are research tokens, so I'm going to pop them on an endangered species and then discard 2 cards from the field. What do I want to discard from the field? I think we just need to get everything moving. I don't want any more 1s, so let's get rid of both 1s. Hopefully. There'll be... I don't want another 1. There is a keystone icon though. Here we go, we've got a nice 5 with a keystone. That could be good actually. So, but that's going to cost me all of my currency. I think we're going to just have to go with it, you know. It's not a good start. So let's turn that into single 1s. See, so I want this card that's right next to the draw pile, so I have to pay 1 acorn for every single card after it. So I'm trying to do a 3, 4 and a 5. I'm going to pop this keystone icon in here. I'm going to check all of the columns and rows for similar habitats. There isn't one because he's got the winter mountainous habitat. This red wolf has everything but he is a keystone animal, which means I have to do this special rule. When you add 1 to your player board, you must discard 1 other keystone icon if present from the field. And if you take these cards into your field, you get these acorns, but if you discard it for any other reason, you don't. Ooh, got another keystone icon. However, I don't actually have a choice about whether I take that one now because I have no currency to use. So I'm going to actually be doing this, I think. And we've got quite a lot of manoeuvrability. So I'm going to do this. I think I will move you up here. I'm going to move him back in a minute. It's fine. And then I get 1 acorn for that. It's like you're placing it again. I can do something else. You know what? I am actually going to place you down here then. Just to get another acorn. I really need currency. And then I'm going to discard a card. So let's get rid of you. And that flips. At this point, I think I still don't really see many cards I want. This could be quite nice, but I don't have enough acorns to place him. So I'm going to look to activate all of these. It's quite early to do that, but I don't think I've got a lot of choice. And remember, because it's yellow skills, you have to activate all of them. So I'm going to place a research token on an unresearched endangered species. So this red wolf doesn't have any research on him yet, so that's fine. This one here allows you to draw the top 3 from the discard pile and play one onto your player board if you want to. Now, I've deliberately discarded these for a reason, so I don't want any of these, so I'm going to ignore that. But I am going to move a card. So I'm going to move you back here. And remember, it's as if you're replacing it again, so I get 1 acorn back because he shares 1 habitat with this wolf in his row. So this isn't actually going too well. Usually you get a few cards that you can sort of play around with, but I'm struggling for currency. So I think now I'm going to potentially do this one again. So I'm going to draw 3 and then discard 2 from the display. So what have we got? We've got a nice keystone icon and an endangered species, but it is a 5. Are we after? I don't think we're after any more 5s because it's going to be 2, 3, 4, 5. Maybe then. That could be good, but it's a sun symbol. Let's have a look at the rest. You're a winter icon. I wanted to either, these tags, I want them in a row, so I ideally wanted these 3 to be tags or these 3. I've got a 4 here, so you could technically go next to this guy when I've moved him back down here. But again, that's a winter icon. You know what, ideally I wanted this one. I wanted you down here and I wanted you here, I think. I think we'll take it. We'll take this one. Or shall I put him there, even though I don't want him there, but I still get the placement bonuses. We're going to do that. This one's going to be an absolute, it's just going to be carnage. So I get 2 acorns now because of his placement. And then I can discard 2 cards from the display. I don't think I want you. Do I want you? I don't think so. We just need some icon with like their autumn symbol isn't useful to us. Not a lot is useful to us there. Right. We're now going to do this, I believe. Yeah. So we're going to move 2 cards. I'm first of all going to move this one. Oh, am I? Do I want to do this? We're going to activate this, I believe, now to get some more card movement. So we've got 2 research tokens on this alligator because he's an endangered species. And then we discard 2 from the display. Now, I'm going to get rid of this Arctic wolf. I know he's a keystone, but I don't really want any more 5s, I don't think. And also, I know this is a tag as well, but I need 3 in a row, so I'm looking for a 2 and a 3. Not a 4. Or shall I keep him for now? No, I might want to use you. So we're going to do that. I realise when we flipped all of these to the white side again, you need to take your time down one. Get distracted in this game. Alright, now we're going to try and move some things back to where they should be for a minute. So I'm going to move to... I don't know. I'm not going to get placement bonuses for it, so that's a bit of a shame. No, we're not going to do that. I'm going to pay you there and place this. I want you here, I believe. So I don't get any placement bonus for that at all. But that's okay. So you shuffle down. I've played a keystone, so I need to discard another keystone from the display. Really suffering with tag species here. Where's all the tags? So ideally now I want to think about my like L shape in my like orientation somewhere. I've got a winter one here, so I want a winter here and here maybe. I do want another 5 because then I want 2, 3, 4, 5 here. Maybe I did want this guy. Oh, yeah. Interesting. I could do that in a minute. As long as I don't discard too many cards, I could pick up him because he would look very nice here because he's another winter as well. That could be good. There's so much to think about. Alright, so maybe let's try and maneuver things quite quickly to get that. Is there anything on here that would be really beneficial to me right now though? Yes, because you could go here and you're a winter icon, so then I would have 3, 4, 5, which is like a reflected L. And then that would mean that I would have to have 2 and 3 with the tag icons up here. I think maybe that's possible. Risky. Should we do that? Let's take him then. So I gain these icons and I can put you in here. So I've got 1, 2 icons back. I'm going to get the 3 and shuffle you down. Lots of 1s and no tags. So I'm going to do this now so I can move 2 cards around somewhere. Where's going to be the best placement bonus? So you Wolf are going to be in here. So if I move you down here, that's going to give me 1, 2, 3, 4 acorns. And do I want to move anything else? I may as well, just to try and keep things spatially where I want them, otherwise I'm going to get confused. So I don't gain anything from that one. And I can discard 1 card. I don't want this snake, I don't believe. In fact, let's get rid of the 1, because then I know I don't want any more 1s. Maybe not, I don't know. That's what I've done, that's what I've done. There we go, we've got a tag species. However, he's not sharing a habitat with this green frog. That probably wasn't the best idea to put the frog down. But anyway, what we're going to do now is activate all of these. So I'm going to put this on an endangered species. I'm going to look at the top 3 from my discard pile and take this wolf, which allows me to play him here, and I get 1, 2 acorns for that. He's a keystone, so I have to discard another keystone from the display. And then I get to, oh yes, I've got another tag. I get to move a card if I want to. Do I want to do that? Maybe just to get some more acorns going. What would be best acorn-wise? If I pop you up here, that would give me 1, 2, 3, 4. And we tick down the time. So we really need to get going with some of the cards now, because otherwise I'm going to run out of time. I'm just going to change up some, otherwise I'm going to get confused. That'll do. Right, so we have at least one of our objectives. We've actually got two. We've got this orientation of our winter symbols. We've only got one spring symbol, so I need to be mindful of that as well. Ideally, I could have put this rabbit in this slot here where I've just moved him. That's annoying. I do have 2 endangered icons next to each other, so we're doing okay with that. I do want this tag species because that's going to help with our tags as well as our spring icons. I want to put you here, but I don't really want to pay all of these. Let's do some manoeuvring around again then. So we're going to draw 3 and see what we get. Oh my gosh, yes. Look, we can have, he shares the habitat, he'll share him when I put him here, and he'll share this one, and he's a spring icon. So I think he is going to be fabulous. The American black bear is nice because he has a lot of habitat icons, but this is going to be a very rare card to find. So I'm going to put you there straight away. I'm going to get 1 acorn for that. And then discard 2 from the display. So let's get rid of you, and let's get rid of you. And let's just shuffle you all down. Okay, I don't want to do this one because I don't have any more endangered species that are unresearched. So I'm going to do this one and move this red wolf down here to get 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 acorns. And I can do another one. Do I want to move anything else just to get some more money? It'd be a waste to not, I think. Yeah, so I think maybe let's move this guy over. Yeah, just to get 1, 2. Is that worth it? 2? It's better than nothing, isn't it? Because I can move him back later and discard 1 from the display. I want you. I don't think I want you. Let's get rid of you. And now we can place our cottontail rabbit. So I'm going to take this one for free. I'm going to pop him here, which is going to be really nice because that's going to be our 1, 2, 3rd spring symbol. So we're nearly there with that one. And I'm going to get 1, 2, 3, 4 acorns back. I'm going to change them up again. And then I think I might try and play this piping plover. And this is going to be our 4th spring symbol. And this is our 3rd tag in a row. So that's two in a row. We've managed to get all of them once we move our wolf back. We need to remember to do that. So I'm going to get 1, 2, 3, 3 for that. So I think I really particularly want to try and find more endangered species. There's one. Because then I can put research tokens on them, which will be really useful. Research tokens just basically boosts the value at the end of the game. So by default, a card is worth 1 point. If it's got tokens on, it increases the point value by 1 per token. So this one at the moment is worth 3 points. And then keystone icons allow you to score that particular ecosystem again. So if you've got multiple keystone icons in an ecosystem, you just keep multiplying the number of times you score that ecosystem. It's very nice. I need to think of a 4 here as well. This 3 could actually look lovely here. Do I want any more 2s? I could do with a 2 here, but that's not going to be sharing anything with him. So I think I'm going to play this guy and pop you, was it here that I said? Yeah, that would be very nice. I need some 4s really, but that's fine. So I'm going to get 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 for that placement. So that was lovely. I have played a keystone, so let's get rid of a keystone. I don't think I want 1s anymore. Still don't have any endangered symbols. Or 4s. I really want another endangered symbol because I don't want to waste this. These wild cards, at any point you can spend 10 acorns to get one, and you've got 2 of each habitat. So they only have 1 habitat icon on, but they can substitute for any number. So I could pop this in here and it could be a 4, but if I was scoring it in the column, it can substitute for a different number. It doesn't have to be the same number in the row and column. And you've got 1 for every single habitat. But I try to avoid them just because they are quite expensive. But also, you can usually manipulate the market a little bit to work to your advantage. But we are running out of 4s. This guy needs to move there, so that means I need another 1 in here. The only one is this little lemming, but he's not going to help us get any extra points, really. I want him to have a symbol on. It could be, we don't have to score everything. Alright, I think we might just go with it and just, that's 2. That's worth 2 points, that's a lot. But there's nothing I want. Maybe I will take the lemming. Shall I take the lemming? There's literally nothing else that I want. So we are going to take the lemming. And we're going to pop you in here and we'll move you around later. So that's going to give us 2 acorns. This is really frustrating now because I really want 4s. And I haven't got any. There is literally nothing that I want from there. Absolutely nothing. So we're going to go ahead and ignore this, but discard 2 from the market. So let's go for, I don't know. Let's just go for these bottom 2. That's not helpful. I think I'm going to score more points if I find the right cards than I am by just missing out on 1 or 2 points on an endangered species icon. So we're going to go ahead and flip that, ignore it. I don't want anything from the discard pile. Flip that, and I can move a card. So I'm going to move you back to where you belong and get the placement for that. So that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. No, not 6. 5, 6. And we've only got 1 more time to do that. That ultimately means I can do this. Let's have a look. We've got a 4. Perfect. So where would you go? I don't want the 1. They're both 1s, so I don't want you guys. This will be really nice. Where do I want you? Where is it going to be more difficult? Here is going to be more difficult because I've only got single symbols up there. So I'm going to place you here. And that allows me to get 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12 different acorns, which is amazing. 9, 10, 11, 12. So that was really worth doing. And then I can discard 2 from the display. I really wanted him to have an icon, but can't be greedy. What I could do is actually pop, oh, he's a 5, not a 4. Okay, let's get rid of cards that we don't want then. So I don't want 5 anymore. Let's get rid of both 5s. So I think I just need to stop being quite so fussy. We're really cut ourselves thin. We need a 4 over here and a very specific 4 over here. And I still need to move this lemming back. All right, I think at this point we're going to, because I don't think there's any other option to move now. So I think I'm just going to move him back to where he belongs. So that's going to give me 2. I'm going to ignore that second movement and discard a card from the market. So let's get rid of this 2. Thinking of if I keep the keystones, that could help me move some stuff along. That's not what I want. That's not what I want at all. All right, I think desperate situations, we are going to go for one of these wilds. I think we're cutting it too fine. I want to pop this in here just because we're not going to find a 4 with a wetlands symbol now, and I really want to score them. So let's spend 10 to place that here. That's going to give me 1, 2, 3, 4 back. That's not actually an action for the turn, so I still get an action to do. What do I want to do? I don't want you. I don't want you, or you, or you, or you, or you. Excellent. So what are my options? I'm going to do this then. So I'm going to ignore that top bit, but I'm going to discard 2 from the display. Let's get rid of you guys. I don't want you. Oh, you could go in here. Yes, let's do that then. So let's pop you down here. Or actually, let's just take a moment. No, I think we're going to go with that. Do we want that? I think so. That'll allow us to score in the whole column and the row. And if we don't get the 2, that's fine. And this is going to give us extra acorns now because that's sharing 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, which is pretty nice. Come on. I need a 2. Oh my god, what are the chances of that? A winter 2 with a keystone icon. Wowee, wowee. Okay, we're going to take you. I can't quite believe that. So that was a 3, so that means I get 1 back. There we go. Wow, that is amazing. I'm going to put you there. I'm going to get 1, 2, 3 placement bonus for that. Incredible, and I would have to discard 1 from the display, but we have just triggered the end of the game, so I'm not going to do that. I can't quite believe that. What are the chances of finding that card in that whole deck? So anyway, that is one of the endgame triggers for Keystone North America. I'm going to go grab a calculator and then we can see whether we have scored enough as well as met all of our final scoring criteria. Okay, so we are going to calculate our score. So first of all, we are actually seeing per row and per column what we have gained from our ecosystems. So we're going to just take it step by step. We're going to do columns first. And remember, we have to be both numerical order as well as each adjacent card sharing at least one habitat with the previous. So we're going to do columns. So he's got 1, 2, 3, and 4. So that's great. And he's sharing with him. He's got at least one with him, and he's sharing him. So that's fine. We've got 1, 2, 3, 4 cards there, and they've got no extra keystone icons. So it's just base 4 points. Now we've got 2, 3, 4, and 5. He's sharing with him. He shares with him. He shares with him. And that's 1, 2, 3, 4 for the research token, 5. And I've got 3 keystone icons. So I score that another 3 times. So that's 20 points. So that's really good. I've got 3, 4, 5, and a 1. So we're just scoring the 3, 4, and 5. And so that's 1, 2, 3, 4 keystone icons. So that's an 8. This one can substitute for any number that I want to. So that's going to be a 4 and a 5 there. So that's worth 1, 2, 3, 4. And that's 8 because of the keystone. Or I could score this, which would be worth 1, 2, 3, 4, 8. So I'll take an 8 from that decision. Now we do rows. So we've got 1, 2, 3, and 4 again. And then we've got 2, 3, 4, and a 5. So that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 times 3 is 18. 3, 4, 5, and a 1. So we'll take the 3, 4, and a 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 times 3, 15. And then finally, we've got a choice of the 4 and a 5, which is worth 4 points, or 1 and a 2, which is worth 4 points. So we'll take the 4. 81 altogether for that, which is amazing because one of our criteria was to score 70 or more victory points. But that's not all. We actually have to score these as well. So each 3 acorn is worth 1 point. So I've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17. And this leftover 1 is not worth anything, but that's fine. And then we score our final objectives. So we have to check whether we've satisfied all of these criteria. So we've got these 3 in a row, winter symbols. We've actually got it reflected as well. We've got it here and here and here. So we did well with that. That's usually I find those ones quite difficult to do. And then we've got 2 endangered symbols. We've also got one there and there. So we've done well with that as well. We've got our 3 tags in a row. And have we got this one? 4 spring symbols. We've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 5. So yeah, we've got that as well. So 24 points. So in total, we've got 122, which is amazing because if we check that with our assignments, we needed to score 70 or more victory points. So we've definitely got that. We needed to complete at least 1 secret objective goal. So we've got all 4. So we've definitely done that as well. And we needed to end the game with 6. I forgot about this one. I hope we've done it. End the game with 6 or more keystone icons on your player board. Wow, I get so distracted. I hope we have. I think we have. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Yes. That would have been so funny. So anyway, we've managed to get all 3 assignments. So that means we have won our scenario for the solo game. And now you just progress through the whole book. There's 20 to go through, and they each sort of change in terms of setup and the goals that you get. And you've got a good set of these cards to go through, and it will tell you which one to use each time. And that is the solo mode for Keystone North America. And join me in a moment, and I will let you know my final thoughts on the game. So sharing some thoughts on Keystone North America, the solo mode. This is a game that I actually was interested in based on the comments from the designers from Rose Gauntlet just during their Kickstarter campaign, because I liked the look of their new game called Wild Gardens, and I've inquired with them a little bit more about the solo mode just because there was not too much information during the campaign about that one. And they basically said that they were trying to build the solo mode based pretty much on the ideas from Keystone North America. And so they were saying that there was some like story elements and objectives, and they were going to build on that and go from there. And so I looked at this one. I was very interested in Wild Gardens. I was like, I should probably have a look at Keystone North America as well. And this one really stood out because of how beautiful it was. And, you know, the artwork is just lovely. And I really liked the idea of having like quite a few like story elements to work through from a solo mode. I thought that was really a nice touch, because it's usually the other way around. You know, the solo mode is like a tacked on afterthought. So this one stood out to me. It was quite a challenge to get hold of. Funnily enough, I thought that this was one that was sort of localized. It was a Canadian company, so I thought in the UK it was going to be quite difficult to get hold of, and it was. I could find a couple of shops that had the deluxe version, which for a game of this sort of size, I wasn't sure if I wanted to invest that money into it, but I managed to pick up a copy for a reasonable price second hand. And then a few weeks later, lo and behold, the deluxe edition seems to be popping up everywhere in the UK. So I believe this one is one that you can get right now. And when I eventually played this one actually took me by surprise, and I think I was a bit taken aback at first, funnily enough. It played in a very different way than I thought it was. It was a lot less thematic and more of a spatial puzzle than I thought. And I'm not too keen on sort of abstract spatial games, and so I played it. It completely melted my brain. The first couple of games I'd have no idea how to even visualize this, and I enjoyed it, but I wasn't blown away. I also felt that the solo mode was a little bit of a funny pace, because I felt that I'd managed to get some cards out on the board and I was going to soon trigger the end of the game, but then I actually felt myself trying to use up all the skills in one go, because I was like, if I don't use them, that's basically going to penalise me at the end of the game, because you're losing out on points. So I was just finding that I'd played a few cards, I was trying to activate a skill, push down the timer, activate all the skills, push down the timer. I was like, that's a bit of a funny pace. However, I completely do not think that anymore. I have played this, I'm approaching the halfway mark in the campaign booklet so far, so I've played, I think I'm on the 9th scenario now, and I am absolutely thoroughly enjoying this game. It is honestly one of my favourite solo games that I own. It has filled a gap that I have needed in my collection. In the last month or so, I've really felt a little bit more disconnected from board gaming in general. I've felt just generally a bit tired, and I've really lacked the motivation to sort of get a big game out on the table. I've wanted to just curl up in the corner and play a little video game which had no setup, and my interests were not there. And so this one has been a bit of a godsend, because it's beautiful to look at. The setup is so quick. It takes 5 minutes. You just need to shuffle a few cards together, and once you sort of, your brain clicks into place, the puzzle that it provides you is just so immersive and a real joy to sort of figure out and try and get as high a score as possible. One thing I will say about this game is some of the scenarios can definitely feel quite easy, and I will say at least the first 7 to 8 scenarios can feel very easy, and I was very underwhelmed the first couple that I played, because I literally nearly tripled the score that I was meant to get, and I didn't really have too much trouble doing that. And so I was a bit like, I must be missing something. Why am I scoring so high? But as you work through the assignments, there's definitely games that are easier because of the card draw, but there's definitely extra layers of element to sort of think about. And there was one time that I accidentally trapped myself in a corner, which was completely my own fault, and I wasn't paying enough attention, but it meant that I lost the scenario. And so I definitely think that there is replayability here, and once you get beyond a certain point, the difficulty does ramp up a little bit. It's by no means a tricky and challenging game. I think this game really does feel a niche in my collection, particularly where it just provides me with a quick 30 to 40 minute burst of puzzliness and thinkiness, but without being too overwhelming. I also really appreciate the whole sort of story setup of this. I love reading through the journal entries, and they're really well written as well, and they're really well thought out. So for example, there's one scenario where you are where it's talking about the dangers of balloons landing in various areas of the continent and being a hazard to wildlife. So you're trying to go around, you've got little tokens on your board that represent the balloons. You're trying to clear the board of balloons so these animals don't get hurt before the end of the game. And the way that they've taken these quite important and sensitive aspects and sort of woven it into a story and then essentially made it into a puzzle that you can sort of play with is really beautiful. And I've been thoroughly enjoying each and every one of these journal entries and immersing myself in that and putting some lovely calming music on in the background. It's a brilliant way to spend half an hour to just wind down in an evening, especially when you don't want something too big and too much for your brain. I think that this has just filled a complete void in my collection, and it's one that I have got back to the table so many times this month. I also really like the variability as well. So you have, I think, maybe 9 or 10 different private objective cards, and so you're seeing all of those as you work through the scenario books. It doesn't feel too repetitive. They differ in terms of the symbols that you're trying to match in the on the orientations. Also all the skills as well. You bring out a certain set of skills per scenario, so you are not seeing the same ones. In fact, some scenarios you're not able to sort of like move cards around your board at all, so you really need to be sort of paying attention. Can you move cards around, and do I want to therefore take that card because I won't be able to move it into the correct position at a later time? There's lots of little setup changes and variability that make this one feel really fresh every time you take it out. I certainly feel like the retail edition is plenty enough for me, although it would be lovely to have the deluxe edition with all the unique player boards and the neoprene mat. It is a neoprene mat, I did check. This one is absolutely beautiful in itself. I mean, when you put your cards down on top of the player boards, you don't see the player board anyway. So I think that this is absolutely perfect, especially for the sort of the lightweight nature of it. It's only going to be on your table for 30 to 45 minutes. So you know, the artwork and all of the components are very well made, and it's a beautiful game. As I said at the beginning, the only discrepancy that I would have is please do not make tokens double-sided when they have different numerical values, because you know, as if you knock it or you fiddle with it, you will not know where you are. And for somebody who's not quite used to that, I've not seen it in any other games because it just doesn't work. I was very taken aback when I looked at my currency again and I saw I had a 3, and I was like, I swear I didn't take a 3 a minute ago. So yeah, that is literally my only complaint about the game, I think. I've also played this one multiplayer, and I did actually see the Dice Tower review of this one multiplayer, and funnily enough, most of the Dice Tower did not enjoy it, and the only one that did say that they enjoyed it was Mike DeLucio, because he played the solo mode. I have played this multiplayer now with my husband, and because we're not very competitive, we're not looking over each other's shoulders trying to really detriment that other person. Maybe in the last round or two, maybe the last couple of goes, we will sort of be a little bit cheeky, but we don't set out to get each other and to try and get that win. We're both in it for the experience. So we did very much enjoy it. It was a very pleasant surprise to me. I thought it would feel a bit dry without the story elements and the extra goals, but actually it was a very nice flowing experience. You don't need to worry about like changing player order either. It's literally like they take a turn, which is really quick. You take a turn, which is really quick. It was a very enjoyable game. I think it could feel quite mean and not as enjoyable if you are both very competitive or you're in a competitive group. I can see that it can definitely lend to that, but if you're not that sort of player, then I don't think that is too much of a problem. So honestly, I don't think there is much more for me to say on this game other than I have been blown away by it. And maybe just take, if you grab it and it doesn't grab your attention straight away like it didn't with me, just continue playing a couple of scenarios through and see what you think of it after the first 3 or 4. I think this is a very well thought out, put together game with many layers of like uniqueness and puzzle entities that I've not really sort of seen before. I've not really dabbled too much in puzzle-y games. I talked to err on the like strategic side instead, but this has been one that I appreciate from all aspects, down to the puzzle, the quick way it plays. I love the story elements. I love how beautiful everything is as well. Just everything about it I absolutely love, and I would highly recommend this as a solo game if you are into any of those aspects and you're able to get hold of this game. It is beautiful, and it's one of my favourite games of all time, which is a complete surprise to me. I did not expect to like it half as much as I do. Brilliant game, which is also gorgeous. So thank you very much for watching today. I really appreciate it. If you did enjoy my content, please consider subscribing to the channel and you will be let know of any future releases that I do. Otherwise, have a lovely rest of your day, and I will see you on the next one. Bye bye.